2024 was the year Taylor Swift had everyone talking about her in the industry. Regulations kept you up at night, and AI started playing matchmaker with your guests. And a once thriving management company, gone. It's been that kind of a year. Hi, I'm Uvika Wahi from Rental Scale Up, your trusted news source for short term rental insights. Whether you manage 20 listings or 20,000, we make sure to give you insights that help you run better, grow faster, and adapt smarter. And don't forget, we have a free weekly newsletter, curated news and insights for professional managers like you, no algorithms needed. For my last video dispatch of the year, I'm doing our own version of Spotify Wrapped. I'm breaking down the biggest stories of the year, stories you think were the most important this year. Regulations obviously top the list of concerns for managers everywhere this year, from Barcelona's short-term rental ban to Greece freezing licenses in central Athens, and the UK tightening its furnished holiday lettings rules. Governments worldwide turned up the heat. But among all this talk of regulations, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that this wasn't just a year of crackdowns, it was also a year of action. This was a year when government spoke to the short-term rental industry, but short-term rental industry spoke back. This became a dialogue. For example, Residential Homeowners Association in New York and their grassroots movement softened really harsh restrictions. And Alep, the Portuguese Short-Term Rental National Association, worked to mitigate Portugal's new rules and actually was able to overturn quite a few of these restrictive rules. And in Barcelona, the European Holiday Home Association formally challenged Barcelona's outright ban. The regulations also go beyond banning and hint at an industry professionalizing. For example, Italy rolled out a national identification number. Spain launched a national registry, and the EU's STI initiative promised streamlined oversight rather than outright bans. Yet, this was a year of a different kind of restriction, of operational squeezes instead of outright bans as well. For example, Italy's self-check-in ban doesn't outlaw short-term rentals, but it puts enough pressure on small players to make them reconsider. The takeaway here really is that advocacy works. It is important to stay involved with local groups and not underestimate the power of collective action. And that it's a critical moment to really reevaluate for all property managers what it means to professionalize. Next up is Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. When Eras Tour rolled into town, short-term rentals booked out faster than the tickets. Well, perhaps not really, but you get the gist. Cities like Paris, Chicago, and Edinburgh saw surges in occupancy rates and nightly prices, proving the power of event-driven travel. Now, event tourism isn't new, but its impact is growing manyfold. And of course, there is a huge potential here for savvy managers to capitalize on events by tailoring their listings and their pricing to align with these local events. Obviously, no conversation about short-term rentals in 2024 is complete without a mention of Airbnb. And this year, in context of Airbnb, we had our own little Cassandra moment with the launch of Airbnb's co-host network, something we've been tracking since 2022 and been predicting an official launch for a while. The platform basically makes it easier than ever for owners to find co-hosts to help manage their listings, with Airbnb framing it as an alternative to property management companies. How do we know this? Well, Airbnb has quite clearly touted that individual hosts have better reviews, a claim that conveniently ignores the higher volume handled by property management companies. But that's a different discussion. But it's not all bad. For flexible managers, partnering with co-hosts might open doors to new clients without the cost of acquiring them. And even though you cannot register as a company, you can still register your staff as individuals as co-hosts. Continuing on the subject of Airbnb, Airbnb's ads once again had your attention. Through its ads this year, Airbnb continued its positioning itself as a hotel alternative, but this year, Vrbo finally made a splash. Shock and awe. Vrbo's Relax Host Free Stays campaign featured Nick Saban and hit during the US football season and did get stuck in people's minds. Vrbo also added 1 million city-friendly listings previously that were exclusive to Expedia, signaling that perhaps Vrbo is ready to compete seriously with Airbnb. Overall, it's very clear that the competition among the big three is heating up, and hopefully professional managers stand to benefit from platforms striving to offer better tools and exposure. One specific way all three platforms tried to improve their offerings was with the use of AI. AI was once again the buzzword of the year. What stood out was how Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo use AI and machine learning to personalize guest experiences, and all in their own different ways. Airbnb once again took the lead. In the summer, Airbnb released Airbnb Icons, which was seemingly an unrelated development. However, Icons featured free stays for travelers willing to provide personal data, feeding into tools like Journey Ranker and Low Inventory State that tailor search results. We've covered both in detail before. Basically, all this user data that Airbnb has been able to aggregate through its various campaigns is now being put to use to personalize the guest journey and offering them suggested dates and suggested destinations based on their past user behavior, their past bookings, past search behavior, etc. Similarly, but not quite the same way, Booking.com has introduced various AI powered features in the US specifically and with plans for global rollout, which are less predictive than what Airbnb is doing, but more interactive, basically helping guests find their perfect stay to increase conversion with the use of AI. It's very clear that platforms' AI will increasingly dictate visibility, so stay sharp with every aspect of your listing and make sure they're optimized. On a much sadder note, here's one that shook the industry, which is the story of Frontdesk, once a thriving US based management company that survived the pandemic, but abruptly shut down this year. This wasn't just a story about a company folding, it was a cautionary tale. It was about the cost of growth. Frontdesk grew fast, scaling to manage hundreds of units, but high cost and unsustainable practices ultimately led to its demise. Once again, a good time to think about that growth is tempting, but it has to be balanced with profitability. Your focus has to be on lean operations, adaptability, and margins, especially in a market facing so much pressure from regulations and pricing. So, what defined 2024? Regulations challenged us, advocacy empowered us, AI continued to evolve, and Taylor Swift reminded us to watch out for event driven trends. We saw the rise and fall of more giants. Sobering reminder to stay lean and strategic. Let us know in the comments what was your biggest takeaway from 2024? What caught your attention that maybe I haven't covered here? Thank you so much for watching. And here's to going through 2025 with insights, with data, with close attention to your own performance and the market's performance, and maybe a little Taylor Swift on your playlist. See you in 2025. Happy holidays and a happy new year.